I have watched arrogant people walk into my courtroom before. Rich people, powerful people. People with famous last names and expensive attorneys. But nothing prepared me for the morning a police chief's son leaned back in his chair, looked at a wounded veteran across the room, and said, "You should have known who my father was before you opened your mouth." The courtroom went silent, not because the words were loud, because they revealed everything. The defendant was Ryan Mercer, 32 years old, clean suit, sharp haircut, expensive watch, and the kind of confidence that does not come from courage. It comes from growing up protected. Across from him sat Daniel Brooks, 69 years old, a retired Marine veteran with a cane beside his chair and a faded service cap resting on the table. His left hand trembled slightly, but his eyes were steady. Ryan Mercer thought this case would end quickly. He thought his father's badge would walk into the room before the truth did. But then I looked at the officer standing near the back wall and said, "Bring in Chief Mercer." And when Ryan's father walked into my courtroom, the young man's face changed for the first time, because he suddenly realized something. His father had not come to save him. He had come to tell the truth. The case began in a grocery store parking lot on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Daniel Brooks had parked in a disabled space near the entrance. He had a valid placard hanging from his mirror. His knee had been rebuilt after an injury years earlier, and some days even 50 extra steps felt like punishment. He was unloading a small bag of groceries into his truck when Ryan Mercer pulled up behind him in a black SUV. Ryan wanted the space. Not later, not after Daniel finished. Right then, witnesses said Ryan honked twice, then rolled down his window and shouted, "Move it, old man." Daniel turned slowly and pointed to the placard. "I'll be done in a minute," he said. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. Ryan got out of his SUV and walked toward him. The security camera showed his shoulders tight, his hands moving, his mouth never stopping. Daniel stayed beside his truck, one hand on the door, the other holding his cane. Ryan stepped close enough that Daniel backed up. Then Ryan said the line every witness remembered. "My father runs this town. Don't make me teach you respect." A Marine veteran, a disabled parking space, a grown man threatening him over 60 seconds of inconvenience. Then came the shove. Ryan pushed Daniel hard in the chest. Daniel lost his balance, hit the side of his truck, and fell to the wet pavement. His groceries scattered. His cane rolled under the SUV. The security footage showed Ryan looking down at him, not helping, not panicking, looking. Then he picked up Daniel's cane and tossed it onto the curb like it was trash. That was the part that made my clerk close the file and stare at the wall for a moment. Daniel was taken to urgent care with a bruised hip, a sprained wrist, and swelling around the same knee that already made walking difficult. Ryan was charged with assault, harassment, and intimidation. And now he was standing in front of me, acting like he had been inconvenienced. His attorney tried the usual approach first. "This was a misunderstanding, Your Honor." Mr. Mercer believed the plaintiff was being aggressive. I looked at Daniel, a 69-year-old man with a cane. Then I looked at Ryan, a 32-year-old man built like he still thought the world owed him space. "Aggressive," I repeated. Ryan smirked. That smirk told me more than the attorney did. I asked Daniel to speak. He stood slowly, pressing both hands on the table before reaching for his cane. "I wasn't trying to cause trouble, Judge," he said. "I just needed time to load my groceries. I told him I'd move." Then he started talking about his father. His voice remained calm, but I could see the cost of that calm. Veterans often know how to control pain in public. That does not mean they are not feeling it. I asked him, "Why did you file this case?" Daniel looked down at his hands. "Because when he threw my cane, I felt like I wasn't a person to him." The room went quiet. "I've been hurt before," Daniel continued. "That wasn't new. But lying on the ground in the rain watching a young man laugh at the thing I used to walk, that stayed with me." Ryan shook his head. "Come on," he muttered. "It was a cane." I turned toward him. "Mr. Mercer, did you say something?" His attorney touched his arm, but Ryan pulled away. I said it was a cane. People are acting like I ran him over. The courtroom temperature changed. I have learned that arrogance has a rhythm. At first, it hides behind lawyers, then it gets impatient, then it tells on itself. I asked the prosecutor to play the video. The monitor lit up rain. Parking lot. Daniel at his truck. Ryan's SUV behind him. The honking, the shouting. Ryan stepping out, Daniel raising one hand peacefully. Ryan moving closer, the shove, Daniel falling, the cane rolling. Ryan picking it up, throwing it. No one spoke. Even Ryan's attorney looked down. When the video ended, I let the silence sit there. Then I asked Ryan, "Do you still call this a misunderstanding?" He looked annoyed. He was blocking the spot. He was using the spot lawfully. He was taking forever. He is disabled. Ryan leaned forward. Everybody has an excuse. That was when I decided the courtroom needed to hear from his father. "Chief Mercer," I said, "please step forward." Ryan turned so fast his chair scraped the floor. In the back row, a man stood. Chief Alan Mercer was in uniform. Gray hair, straight posture. 36 years in law enforcement. I had seen him in court before, always professional, always controlled, but that morning he looked tired in a way rank could not hide. He walked to the front slowly. Ryan whispered, "Dad, what are you doing?" Chief Mercer did not look at him. I asked, "Chief, did your son contact you after this incident?" "Yes, Your Honor." "What did he tell you?" The chief took a breath. "He told me an old man had tried to start something in a parking lot. He said he needed me to make sure it didn't become a problem." Ryan's jaw. "And what did you do?" I asked. "I requested the security footage." "Why?" Chief Mercer finally looked at his son. "Because I know my son." That sentence landed hard. Ryan looked down. The chief continued. "I love him, but I know him. I know when he leaves out the part that makes him look bad." The courtroom was completely still. Chief Mercer turned toward Daniel. "Mr. Brooks, I watched the footage before I came here. What my son did was wrong. What he said was worse, and using my name to threaten you was a disgrace." Daniel blinked, surprised. Ryan stood halfway. "Dad, sit down." Chief Mercer said. It was not loud. It did not need to be. Ryan sat. The chief faced me again. "Your Honor, my badge is not a weapon for my son to swing at people. It never was. If he used my position to make this man feel powerless, then he needs to learn today that my name will not protect him from consequences." For the first time all morning, Ryan looked afraid, not angry, not insulted. Afraid because the shield he had counted on had just been taken away in front of everyone. I asked Chief Mercer one final question. "What do you want this court to understand?" His voice lowered. "That I spent my career telling young officers that authority exists to protect the vulnerable, not to humiliate them. If my own son never learned that, then I failed somewhere. But I will not fail again by defending what he did." Daniel looked away. His eyes were wet. Ryan stared at the table like he was seeing it for the first time. I gave my ruling. "Mr. Mercer, you did not just shove a man. You shoved a disabled veteran who had every legal right to be where he was. You used your father's title as a threat. You took a cane from a man who needed it to stand, and you threw it aside because, in that moment, you thought his dignity was less important than your convenience." Ryan swallowed. "This court finds you guilty." His attorney closed his eyes. I continued. "You will pay Daniel Brooks' medical costs in full. You will replace his cane. You will complete 200 hours of community service at the Veterans Rehabilitation Center. Not behind a desk, you will assist men and women who live every day with injuries you mocked." Ryan's face flushed. "You will also write a formal apology to Mr. Brooks, and you will read it aloud at a compliance hearing in this courtroom." Then I looked at Chief Mercer. "And Chief, since your son used your name in this incident, I expect you to be present when that apology is read." The chief nodded once. "Yes, Your Honor." Ryan finally turned toward Daniel. For a second, I thought he might apologize right there. He did not. But his smirk was gone. Sometimes that is where accountability begins. Not with tears, not with speeches. With the first moment a person realizes the world is no longer bending around them. 6 weeks later, Ryan Mercer returned to my courtroom. No expensive watch. No smirk. His father sat in the back row. Daniel Brooks sat at the plaintiff's table with a new cane beside him. Ryan stood and read from a paper. His voice was uneven. "Mr. Brooks, I treated you like you didn't matter. I used my father's name to scare you. I threw your cane because I wanted to embarrass you. I understand now that what I did was cruel. You served this country, and I couldn't even give you 1 minute in a parking lot. I am sorry." Daniel listened quietly. When Ryan finished, he nodded. Not forgiveness, not friendship, just acknowledgement. Then Daniel said, "Next time you see someone moving slow, remember they may have already carried more than you can imagine." That was the sentence I carried home. Because courtrooms are not only about laws, they are about reminders. A badge is not a family privilege. A uniform is not a shortcut around character. And a powerful name means nothing when the person carrying it has no respect. Ryan Mercer walked into my courtroom believing his father's badge made him untouchable. Daniel Brooks walked in with a cane, a quiet voice, and the truth. And by the time Chief Mercer stood in front of his own son, everyone understood what real authority looked like. It was not power protecting arrogance. It was power refusing to betray justice.